If a man loses his head, I'll put it back on. If he's cut down to size, he can still take along. He's simply dancing my undead death song. Ah, he's here already? Too bad.
What's up, it's BigJackFilms here, and welcome back to the InuYasha vlogs. Apologies for last week that we didn't get an episode out. We were just really exhausted because we have a second job going, but we're back. We got two arcs to essentially talk about. One's a two-parter and one's a filler arc, and we're actually going to split them into two videos so you can have something for the next 2 weeks. So, this first arc is basically a good story arc. This isn't a filler, this isn't pointless or anything. It's actually a decent filler that pretty much discusses a very important villain in the series and whether or not she's good or evil. And that, of course, being this sort of Kagura rogue arc, meaning like basically the episode opens with Sesshomaru and Rin and all of them just kind of traveling through the whole countryside, and I think they come across Kagura. I mean, I watched these a bunch of them back to back, so I didn't take notes on this one like before, but Kagura is basically like, yeah, screw Naraku, I'm gonna go basically kill him and become free, because she is an incarnation. She wants to be free away from Naraku's presence and body and soul and everything, because she is technically part of him, and that's really fascinating. And I've always had this concept of what Kagura's backstory was, but we'll get to that in a sec. So, we cut to InuYasha and our fellowship of friends, of course. They're still hunting for the shards, and they come across Koga. And Koga is just checking in on Kagome, and then obviously takes off with his two comrades, who I can't remember who their names are. They're these two twin dog demon guys. But they also follow Koga to chase after Naraku. So you see a bit of bickering between InuYasha and Koga, obviously, of who's going to kill Naraku and so on. So Kagura comes across Koga, and they fight, and while that's happening, you think the group would basically come and assist. They can't, because it is the night of the new moon, and once again, InuYasha's powers are useless. He's part human, black hair, can't do a damn thing, can't even wield Tetsuya right. So basically, Koga, in this sense, is on his own, and in this episode, the first part, he loses his sacred jewel shards. So Koga's in a bit of a pickle, because Kagura now has the shards. But unfortunately, she cannot escape Naraku's grasp, and wouldn't you know it, Kana, her sister with the mirror, is messaging to Naraku that Kagura might be trying to betray them. So, a bit of tension here, and the episode actually does end with a pretty chilling shot of Naraku. Obviously, Naraku is really heavily damaged from his last encounter with the group. I can't remember when that was, but he's slowly healing his body. And there's a scene where he's kind of in a castle, underground in sort of a cellar, and there's all this creepy, crawly, sort of bug demon shit all around him, and he opens his, and it's just his head attached to like some spinal cord stuff with the body. It's almost like body horror out of like John Carpenter's The Thing. It's fucking amazing. But he opens his eyes and they're white glowing eyes. And it kind of took me off guard. I was expecting just for him to open his eyes, but you see the glowing white eyes and you're just like, Jesus! So Kagura has the shards, and so she decides, well, I can't kill Naraku on my own. So who do I get to kill him? Why not Sesshomaru? So she goes to Sesshomaru to say, hey, I'll give you these jewel shards if you go kill Naraku, and that's where part 1 ends. Which, by the way, this encounter with Sesshomaru and Koga, really well animated. The backgrounds of the Starry Night are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely amazing in this episode. So, the animation, again, around this season is pretty spot on with the storylines. There's some good animation in these few episodes. So, basically, Kagura, we go to part 2, Kagura offers the jewel shards, and Sesshomaru, I love this whole time during the show that Sesshomaru believes he is beyond the power of the jewel shards, so he's like, I don't give a fuck. Get out of here. And it's funny because that has been sort of his motif throughout the entire show. He doesn't give a single shit about the jewel shards. He's actually from what we've gathered, essentially more powerful than them, and he has more of a ability to withstand the addiction of the jewel, much like the One Ring. And it's also interesting to see that will later play on into Yashahime, which, by the way, of this recording, I'm recording this on Friday. Saturday, the finale of Yashahime comes out. I'm really looking forward to it. Might do a vlog, just sort of a quick little first impressions of the first season, but let's see what happens. So, back to this Kagura rogue arc. Kagura feels like Sesshomaru's just kind of being a fucking pussy, so she takes off and decides who else she could get to kill him, kill Naraku. So Koga attacks, Koga and the Fellowship regroup, and they go to take on Kagura, and InuYasha is still in his human form. So eventually he finally comes back into his full demon form. There's a nice little confrontation between the two, Kagura and InuYasha. The two fight, and then basically she retreats, goes back to Naraku, and it's a really frightening scene. It's actually a really frightening way to end the episode, because basically Kagura is led down to that cellar by Kana, and then is entrapped in these tentacles and stuff. It's right out of like an 80s hentai, like Wicked City shit. So Naraku's looking at her like, don't ever leave again, or I will kill you. And it's all creepy, he's all scarred in his head. It's, again, John Carpenter's The Thing mixed with a hentai. It's actually really fucked up. So Kagura's pretty much at his throat, or at his neck. His neck is at her throat, and he could kill her any time. And so she feels so entrapped, so not have no power, powerless to stop this evil entity that still controls her and is part of her body. And the episode ends with her thinking, well, I'll let them heroes slide, and there'll be a time when they can kill him. So, despite it being kind of, like, pointless in terms of other characters, for Kagura, this is a very, very deep episode, because we get to see more of her mindset, her psychology, and more so what her end goal is. She doesn't want to be a part of Naraku. She wants to be independent, she wants to be free as the wind, and basically get away from him and hope that he dies. So, she's very much an anti-hero in this sense. She is a villain, but she does have her own motivations. She is essentially this series' equivalent to a Catwoman, or a better instance would be Asajj Ventress from the Clone Wars animated series. She's very much in line with Asajj Ventress. In fact, I would love to see somebody do a Sith assassin version of Kagura, where instead of the fan, she's got a red lightsaber. I think that would actually be pretty kick-ass. So, basically, she's that equivalent. She wants to kill her master because she wants to be free of his control. Very classic stuff in terms of like the sidekick villain, sort of the henchwoman who realizes, I don't want to follow this guy, I'm just going to follow my own path and just play the game. Very clever, very strategic, and a very decent two-parter in my opinion. In terms of Kagura's back history, this is something that I know Takahashi hasn't really explained too well. All that we know is she's sort of part of the wind somehow. And I know there's probably books about this in some encyclopedia or whatever. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if they've ever explained her backstory. But I've always had the impression that she was sort of a wind demon. Sort of a... If anything, I would have always imagined Kagura to be her true form, her true demonic beast form, to be of a dragon. She's basically a wind dragon who, you know, basically did have ties with Naraku and became one with his body. So maybe Naraku did need some form of dragon body to sustain his own. So there is some backstory I would love to tell in some regards in terms of like what her true origins are. And I like to think she was a dragon, because why else would she use the attack Dance of the Dragon, which causes these tornadoes, like these almost dragon wind, like wings of a hurricane, you know, like Smog in The Hobbit. So that's kind of my fascination with Kagura. I do like to think she's essentially a dragon. But other than that, this episode, I mean, characters are just doing their same shtick, and it is very much a Kagura-centered story, which I really like. I really like how we're breaking away from the other characters, and we're actually focusing more on characters that really need a bit more development. We've had time with Koga, we've had time with the other characters, but now it's time to, let's focus on this character and get her kind of background, because I think the only issue with this show is that there are too many characters, so you do need to flesh them out, which is why there's just this lengthy, long series about them. So I give this episode probably a good, decent good, like 7 or 8 out of 10. It's a solid two-parter. Definitely worth the time if you're a big Kagura fan. and if you want to see more of her story, it's definitely a two-parter to check out. So, especially if you're just into that character and want to cosplay and so on. So, I really enjoyed this episode. So, that's it for this vlog. Very quick, very simple to the point about talking about this two-parter. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. And don't forget, guys, support our Patreon. YouTube lately, the algorithm has been really bad for us. So if you guys want to go support us on Patreon, just $1 more will get you early access to all of our content as well as other special features, and it'll keep the lights up. So a big thank you for all you guys for sponsoring us, and also all the funds are also going to go towards potential InuYasha fan film as well as other projects. So tune in next week when we take a look at another filler episode, but in a way references a two-part arc from the first season. So, until the next video, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing out, saying, don't sell your soul to the devil, because he could have your heart in his grasp, and every franchise needs a Catwoman and a Ventress. So, until then, see you guys later.